Welcome to Martini Time. I got a haircut yesterday. I just noticed. As Jackie Gleason said, how sweet it is. So, hope you've been having a great day. It's been a moderate winter here now in the 50s. And I wanted to talk about the perfect coffee pot or coffee maker. I've been on a, I could say a spiritual path my whole life. It's called a quest. We don't know what it's a quest for, but it's for something. And so I used to always metaphorically frame it as I've always had two quests, the search for the perfect vacuum cleaner and the search for the perfect coffee maker. And I found the perfect vacuum cleaner called a Dyson. Even though my uncle had a Rainbow, I like the Dyson better. So the Dyson's my perfect vacuum cleaner. And I had searched for a perfect coffee maker. We go through Mr. Coffees and all these elaborate things. And I had some money 4 years ago, so I got a Jura, Jura, which is a German or Swiss made coffee maker, but they make cappuccino and latte and grinds to your specification, and it's perfect coffee maker. And our house has become the Starbucks of Blackstone. People stop by and want a cup of coffee, and could I have a cappuccino? And it's been fun. And then yesterday it broke down. So the grinder stopped. So I called them up and the Jura and said, and they said, yeah. I told them work through what's wrong. They said, yeah, you got to send it in. That's $350 to send it to the shop, but we pay for shipping. So that ended the perfect coffee maker. But then we have a Keurig. It was my mother left it. So now we have a perfect coffee maker, and we're making coffee with the Keurig or a French press. That's a perfect coffee maker. So what I wanted to talk about. So anyway, I'm not looking for a perfect coffee maker. I've got one now. It's a Keurig, and if that craps out, I've got a French press. So the point I wanted to make, I always have a point, I think. Metaphorical point, because the coffee maker, search for the perfect coffee, is a metaphor for the quest for perfection. Now, perfection, we don't really understand what that, we use it all. Oh, that's perfect. What does that mean? When you say, oh, that's perfect, or I feel perfect, or you're perfect, or I'm perfect, or that's perfect, or I want it to be perfect, or this isn't perfect. What are we talking about? So perfect means, it means whole or complete. Doesn't have any leftovers, doesn't have any loose threads, doesn't have a single thought of it could be better. In other words, perfect is the one without a second thought. Now, most of the time, whatever we do, we always, it could be a little bit. Yeah, it missed a little that. When my wife is an excellent cook, but she's a cook, so she's always, no matter how great the meal is, which I always say is perfect, it's something that's put in front of me. What I mean is, I don't compare it. This is what I'm given, and this is perfect. But her, as a cook, she has a comparing mind. So, I need a little more salt, or a little more of this, or a little more, too much of that. So she's always working it out to be better. No matter how perfect it is, a little bit. And that's fine. That's what cooks do. That's what artists do. Well, I should have done that. So we're looking at here the comparing mind. Now, the quest for perfection, you could say, is the spiritual quest. A lot of people think, if I get enlightened, I'll be perfect. And a lot of people have an experience and they think they're perfect. And they get spiritual arrogance. And that takes, and I can speak from experience, that takes years, decades to get rid of. I'm perfect, and Of course, because I'm perfect, you're not, because I'm only perfect because I compare it to somebody else who isn't perfect. That's the only way I know what's perfect, is that I compare it to something else that's not perfect. See the problem here? Perfection is a creation of the comparing mind. So now, when the Jura broke, you see, and now we've got making coffee with the Keurig, this is perfect. But if I compared it to the Jura, it wouldn't be perfect. I'd be complaining. Oh, it's not as good as the Jura. Well, if we had the Jura, we'd be doing this. Or, oh, I wish I had that Jura back. God, I got to get some money to get the Jura back, you see. Oh, we used to have the Jura. Then it was perfect, you see. You go through life like that, the comparing mind. So the comparing mind creates perfection. So now I've got the Keurig and it's perfect. Now, I'm not saying that you can't look at the qualities of the Jura and say, well, it had better qualities, so it was different. But the thing about the perfection is that when we have perfection, there's an emotional tag to it. Oh, this is perfect. It feels just right, you see. But then, well, it won't last. Maybe somebody will take it away, or I'll lose it or something, and then it won't be perfect. Comparing mind. So this comparing mind is basically what the spiritual path is trying to drop. And that's Zen. Zen is all about seeing that the comparing mind creates suffering, that the comparing mind creates the quest for perfection. And perfection is only perfection because we compare it to not perfection. So I'm always comparing who I am, what I've got, with somebody else, either higher or lower, and feeling a little pride or a little pain, you see. And pride is painful too. People who have a lot of pride also have a lot of pain because they don't want to lose their pride. But there's a pain basis to pride, and there's a pain basis to pleasure. Buddha gets into this. But what we're looking at right now is the comparing mind and how this comparing mind is cultivated by our consumer culture. Look at advertising. It's all about comparing. This drug, our drug, is better than that drug. This bed is better than that bed. You'll be perfect if you get this bed. Now your other bed, you don't feel so good, do you? You don't sleep in as good as you did because now you know this bed is better. And you'll be better when you get this bed than you are with the one you've got, you see. You're unhappy with the bed you've got. It's got lumps. Before you thought it was perfect. Now, not so much. Now you got this, the pain of imperfection. And now my quest is to get rid of this pain. How can I get rid of the pain of imperfection? The pain of not being complete. The pain of not being perfect. Well, I have to buy something. I have to go somewhere. I have to go facelift. You see, I have to do something to get, somebody's going to sell it to me. Somebody's going to sell me something to get rid of this pain of imperfection that I believe I have now, either because it was induced or because my parents gave it to me and their parents gave it to them, and it was passed along like an heirloom, you see, the pain of imperfection, which is the result of a comparing mind. The comparing mind is a consumer mind, and it is the mind of our modern consumer civilization. The damn thing won't work if we don't have a comparing mind. You won't buy anything new if you're not comparing what you've got to the latest thing, the latest new thing. And then when you get the latest new thing, it already becomes the imperfect thing because there's a new, better thing out. It might have one more button. It might have a different color. It might have something that doesn't stick. Or anything. I don't know. The problem is, as we advance this technology, the imperfection gets more subtle. It used to be when I was in photography back in the crossover age between film and digital, every year the new cameras coming out and the printers and the computers were so much better than the previous generation. You had to buy it. You had to go into debt. You see, because you had to get that new best thing because there was such a gap. Now, I've had my camera for the past 10 years, and it's takes as good as pictures as the ones coming out now. Now, so the imperfection, it gets subtler and subtler because they have to keep coming up with a new, better perfection than the perfection you just bought. So they want to buy a new one, you see, and that's what makes the thing. Well, that's fun. We can't do without that. I mean, we have an economy like that, and that's what makes the engine run. But we can be free from the pain of the comparing mind. So now I've got a Keurig, and it's perfect. This doesn't mean, you see, that I can't compare it. Yeah, sure, there's others and better, this and that, you see. But there's no emotional attachment to it. That's the thing. See, imperfection has an emotional tag to it. Oh, it doesn't feel good. Oh, imperfection. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. And when I say something's wrong with something, what I'm actually saying is something's wrong with me, because the feeling I have that something is wrong with this room or this coffee maker or this person or this martini or whatever it is my experience. It's my feeling. So what I'm really saying is something's wrong with me. I'm imperfect. And I got to get perfect. I got to get whole. I got to get complete, you see. Something's missing. I'm not perfect, you see. I'm not complete. Complete means content. I've done a day's work. I'm content. I finished the job. I'm content. It's perfect. And then the nag, well, now I got to do this. And we're back into the comparing mind race, you see. Because in our culture, our identity is based on comparison. And that's an identity based on image. You see, we live in an image culture. Your profile. Who am I? Well, I list my profile. I got all my likes and my dislikes. That's who I am. Well, there's more. Okay, well, I do this. I'm a plumber. I'm a photographer. Well, that's who I am. Well, there's more. Well, I'm a man. Well, is that it? Just a word? An idea? Do more than that? You see, no matter how, when you start skinning back the onion peel, you never can arrive at a image that is who you are, because you know you're not an image. But we believe we're an image, so we're always comparing my image with another image, and it's better or worse, you see. See, Mad Men was all about that. So this very deep question here when you start asking. But the main point is to start noticing when your comparing mind is activated, and notice the emotional content with it. Oh, I don't feel complete, you see, because my coffee maker broke, you know. Or I don't. So this connection with the things we've got and with our emotional contentment is unconscious. And that's bred into us by our culture because it sells stuff. Ads won't work if they can't make you feel uncomfortable with yourself. There's something, you need a little something. You need a little tweak. A big something or just a little thing. But you need something. Something's missing. Every ad says that. All ads create the feeling that that I'm not perfect, that I'm not whole, that I'm not complete, you see. So you have to look at that, and that's the spiritual path. Noticing how the conditioned mind, talk about the dreamers who came here as innocents. They didn't sin because they didn't choose to break the law. They came here as innocents, you see. So we all come here with innocence, and we're all dreamers. But we take on the conditioning of our culture, and we think something's wrong with us. We think I'm missing something. that I'm not perfect. That I'm not perfect doesn't mean I'm perfect and you're not. That's where people get screwed up. Everything is perfect. Everything is whole. This moment is complete. It can't be better or worse than it is. It's complete. So everything is perfect. Everything is complete. But, you can fix things and do a little better. But as you do it, you're still complete. As you progress and fix things and improve your life, you're complete all the way along the way. You never feel incomplete and imperfect, you see. And that's the real spiritual path, and that's Zen. Thanks for dropping in.